Well, okay, it's enough songs. Let's get started. Dark Sean style. Today, we will not just be talking about these three sisters. We will be talking about the Brontes. No. Do not write Brontosaurus. No. Go to commercial. Ad. Subscribe to this channel right now. We talk about contents for a lot of videos, including US history, some Chinese videos, an idioms playlist, and 21st century talks. We even do a Dark Shot episodes. So please check it out. Ad over. Alright, let's get started. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ew, that whistle is pretty bad. Huh? What? Oh no. Containment! So, hi guys and welcome to a new episode of this channel, Containing. And today we will be talking about the Brontes. We're not going to be just talking about the Bronte sisters. We're going to be talking about the Bronte sisters and their families. So let's get started. Let me just contain this first. Yeah, I think that should hold. The Bronte sister. Now, who are these guys? Now, here's one thing I would like to tell you guys about. If you look closer, you'll be wondering where is, let me show you. This guy. Branwell Bronte. Okay, I'm gonna risk containment. Poke. Oh, phew. Great. Now, where is Branwell Bronte in this painting? Well, you'd be like, where is he? He's supposed to be in here. If you look closely, there is a gap between Charlotte and Emily Bronte. And you can probably see the man already. But I'm just going to outline it for you because I didn't see the man until until the video ended. The video I used for sources ended. So if you look closely here, you will be able to see a man that is featureless. In fact, let me try to draw him here. So there we go. And there's the man. Let me just try to highlight the outlines that haven't been successfully removed. Branwell is the one who created this, and he originally painted himself with his sisters. But eventually he's decided to just delete himself. Also, he didn't do a very good, successful job. He did a successful job, alright, but he didn't do that much of a good job. Just so that his sisters would be the main people, and he would be in it too, to taunt his sisters, because look at where he is. It's like he's very high. But let's just ignore that, and let's talk about each of them. But first, let's start with the father of the family, Patrick Bronte. Okay, I better need to stop using that whistle. It's annoying. Alright, there we go, whistle. Anyways, let's get talking. Patrick Bronte. I don't really consider him in my notes because he's not really much of a big figure, but he did do some important roles. I mean, without him, the Bronte system wouldn't exist. And this video isn't just about the Bronte sisters. It's about all the Brontes. So, Patrick Bronte, he was born on 1777 to 1861. The actual dates are actually written down, but I didn't really have that much time researching, so I had enough time to just copy down the year. So, I'll just say that he was born on 1777, that's kind of an easy date to remember, to 1861. Wait, what? Meaning that he was 84 years old when he died. When I just did the math, I was like, wait a second, he's like 104, and then I realized it was 61, so like, oh, that makes way more sense. Like, wasn't really a good guy. I mean, he couldn't really go to school, but then he was accepted to a school that was in the city of Cambridge. Yeah. And eventually he married and decided to have some children, so he had a lot of children. I think the most well-known are just 4 of them, but there were probably just 6 children. Why we don't know the first 2 of them, the oldest 2 sisters, is a lot, is because they died before they even reached teenagehood. They died at the ages of 12 and 11. So that's why we don't know about them much, and that's why the second oldest sister, the groups, 3 of them, in fact, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, and Charlotte's younger brother, but Emily and Anne's older brother, Branwell, got together. That's kind of a great thing to really do, by the way. And all of these siblings had a deep connection, and they are shown in a lot of the dramas. I mean, I'll be talking about some dramas later, but they are all just awesome. And this is just one of the greatest things I've actually ever thought of. But first, let's just get on. Now, this is Charlotte Bronte. I actually made a whole complete dark shot of this woman.
She is, well, an offer.
Check this out later in the episode. Don't leave the episode yet. Check this out after the episode. This video is like 2 months ago. Anyways, I won't really talk much about Charlotte Bronte because I've already discussed her on a separate dark shot. I'll probably be making dark shots about Emily Bronte and Anne Bronte, but I'm not promising anything, so this probably will be your best source of information until dark shots of those 2 people are created. In the meantime, let's just talk about Charlotte Bronte. She was born from 1816 to 1855, and she is most well known for being an author, although she also did a teaching position. I hope that notification was nothing with copyright. You know what? Let's turn off Wi-Fi. And so that is exactly how it really happens. This would have been one of the great things of her life if it just wasn't for her disease and stuff. And we'll be talking about her other accomplishments later because we'll have to discuss them with the other Bronte sisters. Now let's talk about Emily Bronte. Now Emily Bronte was born in 1818, about a year after Branwell was born, 2 years after Charlotte was born, and then died in 1848, the same year that Branwell died. And just a few weeks later, when Anne died in 1849. And speaking of Anne, this is Anne. This drawing was drawn by Charlotte Bronte herself. And she was born in 1820, 1.5 years after Emily was born. And she died in the spring of 1849. So she didn't really live that long. I mean, Anne was like 29 years old. Emily was 30 years old when she died. Branwell was just 31 years old. And Charlotte was 39 years old. That's just sad, guys. And now let's talk about the 3 Bronte sisters. Let's talk about the 3 Bronte sisters together. Now, they were all authors, and they decided to go, at a young age, they were sent to the Cowan Bridge School, which, excluding Anne and the 2 older brothers who died because of the poor conditions at the Cowan Bridge School, the 2 older sisters of Charlotte and Emily died of tuberculosis. And eventually this would be the setting for one of Charlotte Bronte's greatest novels of all time, Jane Eyre. I've actually talked completely about this in the Charlotte Bronte Dark Shone. It's kinda, some of my friends call it cringy, but sure enough, I guess it is. So I'm just hoping they don't call this one cringy. Anyways, if you guys are watching this, please don't call this cringy in the comments below if they're on. And yeah, that's kind of about it. So then they were taken out of the Cowan Bridge School by their father. Finally, they started doing their education and they became writers eventually. However, because of women prejudice back then, they decided that they needed male pseudonyms. And they decided that they would change their Bronte name Bronte name. Oh, wait, let me retry that. The Bronte name into the name Belle. And they would change their names into some more male-like synonyms. For Charlotte, she decided to go with the name Cover. So she became Cover Belle. For Emily, she decided to go to the name Ellis. So her name would be Ellis Belle. Oh. And then finally, Anne decided to go with the name Acton. Oh. Anne decided to go with the name Acton. So she became Acton Belle. And that is really, really great. They decided to publish a few books together. And the first book that they published ever was a collaboration of the poems that they wrote. They edited each other wrote, and it was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I think it's pretty good, but it only sold 2 to 3 copies. This did not discourage the sisters, though. Then they decided to just start writing their own little masterpieces individually. Charlotte wrote The Professor, and she tried to get it published. It was rejected, and then after writing other novels and not successful, she wrote the successful Jane Eyre. For Charlotte, she wrote Wuthering Heights. Mainly the publisher actually just published it mainly because Charlotte published Jane Eyre, and he decided to use the Belle name to promote Wuthering Heights. And people were like, wait, are all these Belles the same person, or are they just brothers, or are they secretly sisters, or are they just... I'm confused, really. All these contradictions are so confusing. Even Charlotte had to clarify the Belles, what the Belles were and who they were. Eventually, they actually did tell who they are. Emily was not like the idea. I'll explain that later. And then Anne wrote Agnes Grey. Although it wasn't as successful as the other 2 novels that her sister wrote, it was still successful enough for her to live on. And then later, because of tuberculosis and Branwell not being able to get a job, which made him go into alcoholism and getting drugs, he tried to be an art teacher, he tried to be an artist, he tried to be a teacher, he tried to be a writer himself too. It didn't all failed, and then he went to drug and alcoholism. He died of drugs, and then because of tuberculosis, Emily and Anne died. Emily died in 1948. Branwell died first in 1948, and then Emily... Okay, let me clarify here. He died in 1848. She died in 1848 after Branwell. And then she died in the spring of 1949. And then the only remaining members of the Bronte family were Charlotte and her father, Patrick. And yes, they did look after each other. And after Charlotte died in 1855, her father started to make some changes and decided to make sure that the Belles were known throughout the world. Charlotte did reveal who the Belles were after she published a lot of other books. However, Emily wasn't that reluctant, and mainly that is one of the reasons why she denied help, like how Heathcliff did decline help in her book Wuthering Heights when she contracted tuberculosis. So after those deaths, Charlotte died too because of some pregnancy issues. She married her father's assistant, and then she got pregnant, and the baby and her died. Then her father was the only Bronte left, right back to the beginning. But the one thing that he did change was that he made a lot of other things, like the Bronte vault, where there's a lot of antiques and stuff. And the Bronte house, where the Bronte sisters lived in, is now turned into a museum. There's this thing called the Red House, but it used to be a museum, and now it's closed for some reason. Patrick Bronte did a good job. He even made some great graves. All the Brontes, excluding Anne, were buried in the Bronte vault. Anne wasn't buried up there because she was somewhere else when she died. And I'm not sure if it was Branwell's alcoholism or his drugs that killed him, but it definitely contributed from both. I'm not sure which was mainly the killer though. But I'd say it's drugs. I used this photo when I talked about Charlotte Bronte. I'm gonna use it again. Charlotte Bronte, Emily Jane Bronte, and Anne Bronte were all great writers. Yes, they had their ups and downs, but they did write some novels that could inspire people and help go on with the feminist movement. With courage, we can endure. And I'll just say that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you guys did enjoy this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Shannon out. Whistle, please work. Yes! Oh, come on.